determination, standing ovation, because you put the hue in you, man. Cause and effect, affect everything you do, and that's why I got love in the face of hate. Yeah, I'm steady, so the lines in the mental illustration is straight. I thought you had only.
Peace, family. How's everybody doing out there? I got that little clip and introduction from Miss Rebel. I hope she doesn't mind me using it. I feel like I did ask her, though. I hope I did, because I got about 11 things on my brain. And I promise you, sometimes I be thinking I did stuff, but I didn't. But I really, really liked that clip, because if you've seen the original one, go follow Rebel Jewel on IG. She has a clip of that with that song with me, of something that I brought from her as a review, and her son did that clip, and it just came out so amazing. This was my way of tributing to him the great work that he did with that marketing. That little video was amazing. It was amazing. And every time I think about it or I watch that clip, I really just light up. It lights up my whole life, family. And so go check her out. She sells a lot of really nice jewels and things of that. I've gotten this from her, and a few other things that I've gotten from her. But more than anything, it's that clip that does it for me right there. It was actually perfect. So shout outs to Rebel Jewel. She's actually helped me with a lot of stuff behind the scenes. And I really, really just wanted to say thank you. I really love and appreciate her. She's an amazing soul. And yeah, man, go check her out. She's doing great things over there on her page. All right. So hello, world. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today I'm talking about Neptune going retrograde. I named this Shatters the Illusion, because that's kind of what this retrograde is doing for us. It's helping us shatter the illusion. And I'm going to break all that down and get all into that. But of course, before I do that, announcements. So we have Thursday, we'll be coming on to do a live on IG with a very special guest. I hope, fingers crossed, talking about some healing things. So this is actually like a perfect live to be doing just before that, because she's really going to tap in and show us and talk to us about how to do a lot of these healing procedures, methodologies, and how to tap into the energy. And I'm absolutely looking forward to that. I have a live on Friday, the 23rd. This is the first ever show that we are having for our events page on A Way of Life, a wine way of life. And that's life is spelled L-Y-F-E. I put it right there up on the screen so everybody can see it. Please, family, come check us out. I believe it's going to be at 7 with Miss Tierra at A Day of Royalty. If you're not checking her out, family, you definitely want to go check out her page with all her self-care stuff. I'm actually wearing her cream that she makes on my lips. I love it. I love it. It makes my lips feel percolated. And she's got a whole bunch of other stuff on there, but we are starting a talk show together on the IG page where we're talking about self-care and wine tips. We'll have special guests. And then we have a segment called Live Under the Influence. It's brilliant. She put her whole heart and soul into this project. I'm super, super honored and proud to be a part of it. That live Under the Influence segment, we'll be having trivia, hot topics, whatever's in the news at the time while we're talking, giving our drunken opinions on those things. So really, really, really looking forward to that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that journey. I'm excited about it. So go over to A Wine Way of Life to check us out there. I have a few different videos coming up on I still haven't made up my mind if I wanted to do this on IG or YouTube. I'm not even going to lie to you, but um, I have some learning videos for careers and special projects and content that are set up specifically for the Life Path workshop. So be sure to stay tuned for that. That's coming up. And remember, we have open enrollment now until October to come into the Life Path Astrology Workshop. This is where you will learn your mapping, how to find your purpose in your birth chart. We'll do some mapping and set you up with your blueprint in relation to your purpose in this lifetime. I'm actually really, really, really excited about that class. I had the opportunity to do it twice, but then I had so many other different projects that I took, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to push it down the line. Okay. So I'm looking forward to getting started on that. And if you want more information, just email me at info@awayoflife.net, and that's LYFE.net. And just put in there that you're interested in the Life Path workshop class. So, and always, you can check us out at our website where we have everything on there that you need to know about what we're doing. And you can subscribe and you'll get emails that will update you with our monthly newsletter, as well as any other updates that we have. So as always, family, super, super excited about what's going on. I cannot wait. I'm looking forward to all that greatness. But now we are going to jump into Neptune Retrograde. So Neptune went retrograde on June 25th. I know, I'm late. Here's the thing. I got about 11 things going on. And I got one more video that I have to do that I should have did back in June as well. But we're getting through it. We're getting through it. So that'll go that went retrograde June 25th, and it'll be retrograde until the end of the year. Neptune stays in a sign for 14 years, and retrogrades are a time to go inward and reflect on the past before we move forward. So we obviously have a lot of that we've been doing since last year, especially with these outer planets. That's why I did a whole bunch of posts on outer planets. I still think that I have more to do. But because it's a 14-year transit, a lot of the times this also could indicate that this is happening on a global scale more than it is on a personal scale. So things that you're witnessing that are happening outside of you instead of within you. But we also have Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto in retrograde. So a lot of mutable energy here. The signs that will be affected the most by this particular transit are Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. Neptune can bring in social movements. I haven't been watching a lot of news, so I can't say if I've seen any. Well, actually, we can say that Juneteenth was considered a social movement, and then making that into a holiday. So more social things like that. Black Lives Matters, those things. We can hear a lot of things about that coming up. Any kind of social movement in any kind of way like that could be coming up or be a mainstream at this time. Any kind of political movements. I definitely haven't been hearing anything about that. I did think I heard that Biden is like working on getting student loans canceled for good, or at least like 10,000. That can be considered a political movement. Charities, anything around charities, medicine and hospitalizations, because Neptune rules mental health, mental illness, and like asylums and things of that nature. So medicine and hospitalization. So we can see a lot of things about vaccines coming up. I've definitely seen a clip of the news where they was talking about I guess there's been more cases announced. Another strand, perhaps. I could have made that part up. I definitely seen something where they were talking about that more cases have become aware. They're worried about it, but they're figuring out. And I don't even think it was here. I think it was like in China somewhere. They did mention the name. It's missing my brain right now, but I definitely do remember hearing something about more cases out there. But they say that was probably because they didn't take precautions like everybody else did, so they're reaping the precautions from that. So I can't imagine that there won't be more stuff about that coming out. Maybe even this will affect whether or not people can travel to those places where these things are being announced. But our collective values are changing at this time. So as a collective, we're beginning to think differently than the way that we have in the past. And we probably are noticing it, but it hasn't come to the surface yet. But we'll definitely see what that was when I think it's December, to be exact, December 8th. Don't quote me on the date, but definitely December, when Neptune goes direct. And that's when a lot of these things will come out. And we'll even be able to see the fruition of whatever it was we were working with while this energy is in retrograde. And even more so that we'll have a greater opportunity to see the expansion of that, because Jupiter is in Pisces, will officially be in Pisces at that point. I think January it changes, maybe even February. Don't quote me on that, but whatever it does go next year, 2022, it'll be there for an entire year. So this is why I really wanted to hone in on this energy and come and do a live on it, because it's a really big energy. It's super important to know what's going to be taking place for you at this time so that you know how to work through this energy. So let's see, we're going to try to break all this stuff down. Themes around the underprivileged, the sick, nurses, prisons even, and the disadvantaged can be revisited at this time. I really, really, really hope that if weed or marijuana is now legalized, that they strongly suggest revisiting people being put in prison for that. That's my hope with this on a major, major level. So drugs and pharmaceutical companies, tobacco, alcohol, oil, and gas. I think gas more than anything. If it hasn't already been mentioned much in the news, that can come up. Remember that time we was having that gas line issue, and it was like messing with the tribes and the Indian tribes, the American and Native tribes, and all that stuff there. I can't even remember where it was, but it was a huge, huge, huge issue. But I remembered something about, I seen something I was watching about California. Oh, I know what it was. The Farmers Channel that I watch. Family, if you are not following Dr. Boyce Watkins, please go check him out. He has these two farmers that come on his channel every now and again to talk about farming issues and the land and water and like all these types of things here. And they was reading an article about how California is like dry or out of water or something like that, and how that was a big issue. And that could continue, and how that affects us when it comes to the food that we eat and that we're buying from these grocery stores. Huge deal there. But between the two of those, water, gas, ocean, petroleum, carotene, all these things here could be coming up in a big way. Weather conditions, infestations, believe it or not, that's what Neptune rules, and fraud. Don't feel like we need a Neptune transit to know anything about some damn fraud that these people are doing. But either way, these things could be coming up in a major way at this time. And also Neptune rules like fogginess, confusion. So it's best to focus on the past rather than the future, although we're still going to be moving forward, even though we're supposed to be focusing on the past. So it's kind of that double-edged sword where we're having to deal with both at the same time, but it could just be like more so past things coming up for you to deal with than the things that maybe perhaps you'd rather spend a lot more of your time with, which were some of those newer things, especially that we were getting from the eclipses, because that's kind of what that eclipse energy in Gemini represented, was the newer thing. So having to work on both and figuring out, what it means for you as you're working on these new things and how that's going to look. It's a little difficult and can be extremely frustrated and draining. But, just be patient with yourself and know that either way, whatever is coming up, it's going to help you throughout this process for the newer things that we are working on, especially as a collective. When you do the work as an individual, then you come together as a collective and you have the potential for it to be stronger. So, this also may affect the collective more. I definitely talked about that in the beginning, except for the mutable signs, which may be taking the mutable signs on a deeper spiritual journey here. That's what Neptune really is all about. But take a look at your chart to see where this is happening for you, family. Wherever it is, it might not have much to do with the actual sign than it does the house that it's in. Because again, this is an outer planet. So just be mindful if you do know how to do that, or if you're interested and you want to see where it is, text a way of life, and life is spelled LYFE to 22828. And I will send you a transit chart so that you can see where this is and do your own research and really try to figure it out. I think it'll be very helpful for people to get into this and start following these transits, especially if you come here and you follow me on a regular basis, because I really think that sometimes, and this is my fault, an acknowledgement of something that I'm realizing as a coach, to have these tools more readily available to people so that they really can begin to understand it and when and if they do get a reading. But just to understand it yourself on your own within this process is going to be very helpful to help you get through whatever's coming up for you in your life. All right, so Neptune is going to show us where we want to experience ecstasy, where we want to connect with the divine, your spiritual connection to the universe, the downloads of information that you're getting from the universe. And then, take it further, don't just take in that information and sit with it, take it and sit with it and then do something with it. This is also can be shown where you want to be perfect or escape from the mundane or harsh realities. Perhaps dealing with boundary issues or losing touch with reality. It could be showing us where you want to be rescued or saving others, where you're confused or deceiving yourself, where you have to wake up in some kind of way or discover how your ideas are merging with that energy. I feel like those things can be such harsh because when you're in them, like it's hard, but the beautiful conception of waking up from that or having the understanding that these things are coming to you to figure things out as opposed to the other way around it's really quite a magical combination, especially because Neptune is in its own sign of Pisces, so it's even stronger here. And you might not even feel like you are having real life experiences. They can seem very disconnected and unreal at times. But again, that's just the beauty of it. It's almost like because like I said, going back to that ecstasy feeling is really connecting with that side of yourself of like being high off of something and have like I know a good example, doing like ayahuasca, where you take something that helps you kind of go through this journey of understanding who you are, perhaps something that I mean, it's really just hard to explain, but something that helps you learn something, but in a very detached kind of way. That's the best way that I could describe it. But in that way, Neptune is very nebulous. It's the shapeshifter. So even like having out of body experiences or seeing ghosts, or experiencing things as ghostly, like this very fairy tale energy. I feel like it sounds so kooky, but that's really the beauty of Neptune energy. This could even be through like vibrational things. So like artists, music, imagination, the dreamer here. You become the dreamer. And however these messages are coming to you are messages for you to grow and evolve in some kind of way. But this can also be given energy that gives back to humanity, and not to self, or you might be given way too much. So Neptune can be very, what's a good word for it? I think just like overgiving, like they want to help people so much that they don't do it for themselves. So be careful for that energy, or at least recognizing that when that happens, that's still a message or an indication that something needs to be resolved there. But the goal is to get back love, always. I literally was just having this conversation with my brother. I'm hoping it's a breakthrough. I'm not too sure yet. I might be speaking prematurely, but there was an incident that happened between, like, when I was pregnant with my son, and then something else happened in March for my brother's birthday when we went to go stay there. And like always, what I did was I chalked that up to, that's my brother. That's how he is. He just does those types of things. And then I had a conversation with him as he's about to, well, he actually is married. He did actually get married. And unfortunately, he had planned this during COVID. And so they didn't have that opportunity to get married like I'm sure they would have wanted to. And so they had to end up going to the Justice of the Peace. And so now they're just having like a small celebration. So I happened to be on the phone with him, and I was asking him, like, what do we wear? And is it going to be super, super formal, or should we still dress up like it's a wedding type thing? And we kind of went back and forth and jumped from conversation like most people do when you're on the phone, right? And he said something to me that really stuck with me this time around and made me really think, like, no, I need to address this, because I was at the point where I was kind of like, you know what, I'm acknowledging this as an issue of something that I needed to fix about myself. And so I addressed it. I confronted him about it, and he gave me back a very honest answer. But within that process, what I was learning and understanding, it goes back to this energy of making sure that there's a give and take for me, because even as a mom, sometimes I feel like if for certain situations, I will brush them off and not take in effect or account that, I'm hurt, or that it's bothering me in some kind of way. And so in this process, I think we can see a lot of other people experience, especially in Cancer season. Good God Almighty. Cancer rules family. And then I'm a Gemini, and my Mercury's in Gemini. So my issues always tend to be around my siblings. And so in that sense, I think we're all going to be kind of addressing these issues as they come up, if we have the opportunity to do that. And, I want to be more on the positive side and say, good is going to come out of this. I really, really do believe that. But you also have to take into account of where other people are and accept that. So forgiveness is huge with Neptune. It's actually a necessity. You don't actually learn the energy or lessons of Neptune without it. And so really just accepting that people are where they are, right? And I'm on my journey and they're on theirs. But how do we come together being on different levels and still have some respect for one another? Or at least have some kind of comfortability or space where we can say if we're not feeling good about what is being said to us. When Mercury is in Cancer, Jesus Christ, I feel like this is going to be emphasized with Mercury in Cancer right now. So breathe heavily, because these things are not easy. Like Neptune is a deep energy, and it's going to bring up some emotions in Cancer season. Neptune's a water sign on its own, which makes it emotional. So family, be prepared. Take that Mercury, that Mars and Venus energy and Leo, and stand your ground, but do it from the heart. Operate from your heart in this energy. Yeah. So the goal is to get love back always. It always should be a give and take energy, family. In any relationship that you have, even if it's something and it's not an actual person. For example, and if this transit was happening in the second house, it could indicate that you're having hard times with keeping or making money, but you can either do charitable things, right? Because Neptune loves charity and giving back, right? But make sure that you're getting something back, like a savings or an investment account, making sure that you have, if you're not the type of person who wants to start a business or who has the ability to work, because I know my Neptunes always find it harder for finding their purpose in life, and that's fine. But you can still have a savings account set up, or invest, or pension, some kind of retirement money that is still going to pay you so that you can continue to do what you do, but you don't have to suffer and be broke. Like, that is not the mission in this lifetime for anybody, right? No, money is not everything, but you do need money to live here, so that you have to find other ways to be able to do that. And there are ways to do that without having to work. You just have to know what those things are. So, and I think I'm going to be doing more lives on that as well. But then we have Moon sextile Neptune during this. I think it's in August. I think, don't quote me on that. I think the moon will sextile Neptune in August. And so this is going to be helping you connect with family or women. Very romantic here. Peace, love, and light to people who have that opportunity. This is a beautiful energy for that. Or fantasizing about the ideal partner or marriage. And then obviously on the lower vibration of this, be careful, because you're very vulnerable to energy vampires and entities as well. All right. All right. So now we're going to get into some of the crux of this information. I'm going to break down the shadow side. So trigger warning here, family. I'm going to try not to go too deep, but I am going to try to give some examples of each of these if I can think of any. And then we're going to jump into some of the solutions and things that we can do, or questions at least that we can ask ourselves at this time, that I really, again, I hope this information is helpful for you. But okay, so some of the shadow side of Neptune can be gossip, scandals, speculation. I think this is literally Bill Cosby right now. I mean, are you not tired of hearing about Bill Cosby? I certainly am. I'm not even going to give my opinions on that, whatever. But he is a great example of a scandal or speculation even going on about his situation. Surrender or let go of something. Escape. And this goes back to like the illusions, delusions, confusion. Even this could be mental health, in a sense, or dealing with people who have mental health issues. But the fear of dealing with our issues to stay, so like staying in that victim mentality, like blaming everybody else for, what's happening bad in our lives, instead of taking the responsibility and changing our story, doing the healing, right? This also leads into that addiction, right? That is such an addiction thing. Addictive behavior here, or dealing with people who have addictions. These things could be coming up heavily at this time. Being the martyr. I think I broke this down when I did all my series of Mars and Aries. I would definitely go back and go through those videos. I broke all that stuff down a lot in there, but being the martyr is like taking on the role of, I'm going to stick up for these people and solve this problem, but ultimately you might be doing it to avoid what maybe perhaps you need to be dealing with. This is the dropout, somebody who falls hard on their luck in life and not able to function in life. So again, that the addicts or homeless people, even, it's a great example of that energy. And this could get blown out of proportion, or things can get blown out of proportion. But all these things could be news topics as well. Being humiliated for a really long time. I didn't know what humiliation was. And I used to work in a drug and addiction facility. Actually, right after I got out of prison, that was the first people who actually gave me a job, believe it or not. And I was actually really shocked that they accepted me with the record that I had. And I learned a lot. That job actually really changed my life, especially because I have a mom who is an addict, doing a lot better today, but she's still got that addictive behavior. And so in that time when I was working there, I really, really, really got a deeper understanding of my mom and how to connect with her in a way that wasn't so angry, because I was angry at her for choosing drugs over her family for a really long time too. And I don't even think, even in that time that I was learning about it, that I've ever addressed it, or intellectualized it in a specific way and such. But as I got older and the more educated I got and grew up, I was able to do those things, and it really allowed me to heal our relationship in smaller ways. We still got a lot of work to do, but I'm happy about where we're at now. And when I was at that job, because I was learning so much, I would ask questions. Like, I learned a lot about myself too. Forget about my mom. Like, let's be all the way 100. I learned that my curiosity and my honesty is what humility is to be able to ask those embarrassing, hard, difficult questions in a very innocent kind of way. And that's what humility is. Like, I would ask, like, so is it really wrong to have these kind of like, I would have to sit in these halls, in these big halls, where people would come in and do the AA, and they would talk about all the bad things and bad decisions they made because they were on drugs. And I used to sit there and be like, what the fuck? Yo, I must be the devil, because I did all that shit completely sober. Talk about sobering your life. And we used to joke about it, not like joke about it in a hee hee ha ha way. It was very emotional and touching and supportive even. But I would ask questions like, do you really think a lot of these people who made these decisions while they were drunk that they were bad things? And they would talk me through that answer. And I'd be like, because I did a lot of that stuff and I wasn't drunk. So does that make me even worse off than they are? Because I was completely cognizant. Like I knew what I was doing. I was very aware of the decisions that I was making. And I'm really actually glad that I asked those questions, because within that process, what it really, really allowed me to do was understand psychology. And they said, yeah, you might have been cognizant and aware and not under the influence, but what about your childhood trauma and psychology? Where did you get those things from? Is it the music that you're listening to, the culture that you're involved in? And I was like it really, really changed the way I thought about myself as a person, especially at that time in my life when I had just got out of prison. I literally thought like I was the worst person in the world. I didn't deserve another chance. And there was even times where I actually quite literally thought about killing myself, and suicide for a very, very long time. And I had to work through those issues. So I know on other platforms I've mentioned before that I spent 10 years in counseling, and I don't think that people are like, well, what the fuck would you be doing in counseling for 10 years? Well, here's the thing, people. I wasn't always so giddy. That's just the truth. I went through a lot before I got to this happy place where I am right now. I went through a very, very, very dark period of time in my life. And so I hope that helps people understand, just in case you didn't know what humility actually is. Or you can feel betrayed or guilty or have a guilty conscience or projecting on others. That's another one that I feel like is happening majorly at this time. So phobias, being a hypochondriac, especially with Sagittarius in the South Node, this can be an indication of like a, what do they call it? A person who lies a lot. A habitual liar. That's what it is. That energy can also be playing out here, especially because Jupiter is in Pisces. So that would be the lower vibration of that energy. Paranoia, inner fears. I talked about that. Anxiety, nervousness, depression. Especially when we had that Capricorn energy. I think, what was it? The Capricorn full moon. Capricorn can be a very heavy energy too, family. Just really understanding. I think I did talk about this in my mental astrology and mental health video that I did with Leah. If you guys haven't checked out that video, check that video out. But you can also be obsessed with someone or something. And the conjunction in August, it is in August, I did say August, right, is going to highlight a lot of these issues. So talking to yourself that leads to confusion. Listen, let me tell y'all something. As a Gemini and Mercury sign, I talk to myself quite frequently out loud. Oh, it's a good and a bad thing. I think it has its benefits, and then it doesn't, But yeah, so a lot of these themes can be highlighted in August. So family, find you somebody that you can talk to, that you trust. If you're open to going to counseling, go. Like, take the leap, get some help, because this energy can get real heavy. The beautiful part about this is retrograde shatters illusions. That's why I called this live Neptune in retrograde shatters the illusion, because we really have an opportunity to switch things around here. Not just with this energy, but this entirety of this time is really an opening, a portal of energy where we're being offered a second chance to redo something in our lives the right way. Take advantage, family. So this shows us who we really are. It dissolves the dream state that we've created over the last 400 years, to be exact. Smoke clears and you see clearer, and you see what ways you were misguided in your life, what ways the truth got covered, and what illusions need to be shattered at this time. This reminds me, I think I actually named one of my Neptune videos, row, row, row your boat gently down the street. Life is but a dream. I really did, because that's exactly what it reminded me of when I was doing the research on that. Listen, if you knew this energy to the depth of what I know this energy, you would know exactly what I'm talking about. But it's crazy. But on the high vibration of this energy, this is about acceptance, forgiveness. Forgiveness is the key. I cannot say that enough. Forgiveness, forgive, forgive, forgive. And you get to create a new reality, accept new directions to learn, to see a new path. Tap into your faith and optimism. If you're experiencing any uncertainty, now would be a great time to do inventory on your life to see, what are your next steps? What should you be working on now? And get some clear future plans. Having a dream journal, starting a new spiritual practice, and reconnect with the divine in you. What makes you feel, ask yourself what makes you feel confused, frustrated, bored, and plan on how to address those issues. What do you believe in? Who is your God? Do you see yourself as a God? Are you able to connect with the divine? Do you feel a part of something bigger? Do you want to be a part of the universe? Giving and get into the universe. Like when I was doing this, I thought of, who does this so well? Divine Alchemy. I don't know if anybody follows her on IG. Divine Alchemy. She has been in the backgrounds working with me on helping me set up my altar. I bought a lot of things from her to help me. Just know that there are alternatives out there that can help you through some of this stuff. And if you want to know more, seriously, just reach out to her. She is phenomenal. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Every time I feel like I talk to her afterwards, I always get these massive amounts of downloads of clarity on and there's just so many things that I was seeing incorrectly. But when you talk it through with somebody, you get these clear senses of pathways or different ways to look at things, so you can address yourself. Okay, that goes back to what I was saying earlier. Are you not seeing reality and you're seeing the fiction of your reality and projecting on others? This is where these kind of things come in if you're not doing it. And it's not to say that you can't trust yourself, but you should always have a sounding board. We are not meant to go through these things alone, especially if you haven't built up the spiritual awakening, confidence, love, and nurturing within yourself. Get to a full level of healing, and then you'll know. And it's never to know as a perfection. It could always come in as an issue, but that's the message. But the spirituality piece is to not see it as a negative. It's just oh, okay, this is happening. So now I got to step back and reevaluate what that looks like for me moving forward. Why am I experiencing this? Why is this happening to me? What is it about me that I need to correct? And I think we are so disconnected from our spirituality that we don't even know that that's what it is. We're so busy in this victim mentality or this lower vibration in general that we're looking at it as a problem that can't be resolved, and we're stuck. That keeps us stuck in this place of not being able to address a lot of the issues that we have. And it has manifested over thousands of years now, and it's really like time to let that go. And yeah, I feel like I could talk about that for hours, but so like doing these little rituals and stuff for the universe where you give them things and you do make sure you ask for something back, that is the relationship. But the best way to notice if these things are happening from you is if you're trying to escape from these things and you're not trying to take on the challenge, if you will. Are you escaping from reality? Do you watch a lot of Netflix? Are you always tired? Are you confusing facts with fiction? Are you constantly under the influence? These things are things to consider as you're going through this process to check in to say, am I avoiding the facts, or am I doing small little things where I can when I'm in the space to deal with them? And that is like really the best way to get through a lot of this, whatever could be coming up for you at this time. Asking yourself those tough questions and really working through that energy and challenging yourself. I think, the most thing to remember is to not do this by yourself. You should really find somebody who you feel like you can trust to get through these tough times. I strongly suggest not doing it alone, but it should definitely start as a decision for yourself alone. If that makes sense at all, something that you choose to do because in your heart, you're ready for this moving forward. Because I think if you do it any other way, it doesn't work, and then you can find yourself, it's almost like, like when an addict relapses, you've probably could have gotten up until this point really far of accomplishing a lot of things. And then you go and you listen to something like this and you're like, damn, am I really doing that? This is not what this is, family. Know your strength and your power and stand in that. When you're taking down the things that aren't going well, make sure you also calculate what is going well and give yourself a pat on the back, a round of applause, even a really great big hug to say, but I made it this far. Really be gentle with yourself and nurture yourself through this process because it's not easy. This is really hard. We have a lot of undoing to do. And, one day at a time. One day at a time, family. One day at a time. So, as usual, I hope this information was helpful. Peace.
Way of life. With that knowledge of self-determination, standing ovation, because you put the hue in you, man. Cause and affect everything you do, and that's why I got love in the face of hate. Yeah, steady, so the lines in the mental illustration is straight. I thought you had those